Good evening. Salamat. Sorry, everyone. Let's just give it a couple more minutes to allow other people to join in. Hi, everybody. So I've just pinned a comment. Please take the time to read. And I think that should be enough time for us to so we have 80 people in the room. I think that's enough for us to start. First of all, salamat sore. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to out of your afternoon to attend this event. So first of all, my name is Girlie Repuyan. I'm a customer account manager for UK Visas and Immigration. I have been invited by the British Embassy in Indonesia to deliver a presentation on the student visa, which I think a lot of people are asking about. So hopefully you will find this session to be quite useful. So before we begin officially, I just like to put a few notes. First of all, I am based in Manila, Philippines, so unfortunately I'm not able to understand or speak in Bahasa, so this session will be delivered entirely in English. And second of all, this session will strictly be limited to the student visa application from end to end, everything that you need to know. I'm going to be sharing a picture that I think would be useful. It will include all of the links to the guidance that I'm going to be referring to with my presentation. So if you can take a screenshot or if you can save it, that should be helpful. But I think the social media team in Jakarta are going to publish the links so that you can click on them via IG. I think IG stories sometime next week. So don't worry if you're not able to see or you're not able to click on any of the links. They will be posting it onto this account. So just keep following the account so that you will have all of the information. Another details is that I'd like you to to give you a heads up on is that I'm going to be picking a couple of questions at the end of this if we have enough time. So, but I'll only be answering questions regarding the student visa application. So any other questions not relating to that topic probably won't be addressed. So if you have any questions on the student visa, kindly post it on the comment section. And so, thank you. Yes, so I think we can begin formally. So again, Girlie Repuyan, Customer Account Manager for UK Visas and Immigration. I'd just like to say that the presentation that I'm going to be giving is quite intense, but again, I've linked everything that that's on gov.uk with the official guidance. So I'm going to be starting with the visa application process. So for UKVI's perspective, we have divided the visa application process for customers into 3 stages. So the first stage is the pre-application step. This is where you can go ahead and research which visa category is most applicable to whatever it is that you're planning to do in the UK. So everything that you need to know as far as visa categories is concerned can be found on gov.uk. All visa categories do have their own dedicated pages on gov.uk. It will list down all of the activities that you're allowed to do under that visa. It will also list the activities that you're not allowed to do under that visa, and it will also list down the supporting documents that UKVI will expect you to submit when you apply. So this is the stage where we would highly suggest that you prepare all of the documents so that you have it ready, because on the gov.uk page for the visa category, you will also be linked to the online application form that you have to fill up. So for UK Visas and Immigration, we no longer require customers or applicants to attend a face-to-face interview. So everything the assessing officer will refer to when making a decision on an application will be based purely on the details on the application form, as well as on the details of the supporting documents that were submitted with the visa application. I know that the most common feedback that we received regarding the visa application form is that it's quite long. I think it's one of the longest visa application forms out there. But again, this is taking the place of a face-to-face interview. So please always fill it up as honestly and as completely as you can. After you have filled up the application form, you will be directed to a payment portal so you can settle the visa application fee and any other fees that are related to your visa application. And afterwards, if you have your documents already on hand, you will be directed to a website where you can self-upload your documents yourself onto the system. But if you don't have the documents ready at this point, that should be fine. There's going to be an option for you later on. And after you have made the payment, you will be directed to the appointment management system of our third-party service provider for our visa application center for step 3. So step 3 is where you have to physically come into a visa application center or a VAC to submit your biometrics. Even though UKVI no longer requires a face-to-face interview before for a visa application, the final requirement before a visa application can be considered lodged is the submission of the biometrics. So you have to go to a visa application center. You have to bring your passport with you. They're going to be collecting your fingerprints, and they're also going to be taking a photo of you on the day of your appointment. If you did not choose the self-service option to self-scan your documents yourself, you can bring copies of your supporting documents with you on your appointment, and a staff at the visa application center will scan it onto the system for you. However, this is an additional service, so there's going to be an associated fee for this. So speaking of our visa application centers in Indonesia, it is currently being managed by our third-party service provider called VFS Global. That's their website on the photo that I've shared, the very first one. So they do have 3 locations in Indonesia, one in Jakarta, one in Bali, and one in Surabaya. Everything that you need to know as far as their operations goes will be posted on their website. So their addresses, their operating hours, what time you can submit your bios, what time you can collect your passport, everything will be listed there. And on their website, they also have a list of the added value services that you might be interested in availing. So if you want to make your customer journey a little bit more comfortable, feel free to check out their premium services, the premium services tab on their website. So again, that's vfsglobal.com/IDN. So moving on to the visa decision waiting times, under normal circumstances, UKVI offers 2 service standards for visa applications in Indonesia. One is the standard service, where a decision should be made on the application within 15 working days. And then usually customers in Indonesia do have the option to upgrade to the priority service, where a decision should be made on the application within 5 working days. However, if you look at the dedicated guidance page that's linked on the photo that I've shared, you will notice there that the option for student visa applications or student visa customers to upgrade to the priority service has temporarily been suspended. Unfortunately, as of this session, I still don't have any information as to when it will be reinstated. We do apologize for the inconvenience that this is causing, but the best tip that UKVI wants to share out there to all of the student visa applicants is to prepare your documents early, so that when your CAS letter or when your certificate of acceptance of studies is released, you can go ahead and lodge your visa applications as quickly as possible. As of right now, the visa decision waiting times for student visas is at 3 weeks. So you should expect to receive a decision on your visa application in 15 working days. If you're particularly interested in being up to date with this topic, the link to that guidance is on the page. Everything that you have to know about that topic will be posted there first. Moving on to the visa options for students. So as of right now, if you want to study in the UK, you have 3 options. You have 3 visa categories that you can choose from. It depends how long you're going to be studying in the UK. If your course lasts less than 6 months, you can usually get away with studying in the UK under the standard visitor visa. If you're studying an English language course that lasts 6 to 11 months, you should apply under the short-term student visa. And if you're studying for longer than 6 months, you should apply for the student visa. So for the full guidance for the student visa, it's gov.uk/student-visa. So what are the eligibility points? What makes you eligible to apply for a student visa? There are some things that you have to hit. One is the age factor. You have to be 16 years old and over in order to be eligible for the student visa. If you're younger than 16 and you're going to be studying in the UK for longer than 6 months, you have to go for the child student visa. It's very similar, but there are slightly different requirements. You must also have been offered a place on a course by a licensed student sponsor. So how would you prove this to UKVI that you have been offered a place on a course? You have to submit a CAS letter or a certificate of acceptance of studies with your visa application. You must also show that you have enough money to pay for your course, and also to show that you have enough money to support yourself while you're in the UK. So how much money you have to show depends on where you're studying. There are different maintenance and accommodations fees for people who are studying inside versus who are studying outside of London. If you're being sponsored by a government or entity or a company, instead of financial documents, UKVI will accept a sponsorship letter as proof of financial capability. You must also have an appropriate level of English for your course. So UKVI will expect you to submit a self test result or a secure English language test result with your visa application. So IELTS or Pearson's, there are 4 that UKVI will accept. However, if you're going to be studying with an HEI or a higher education institute, and you're going to be studying at degree level or above, so RQF6 and above, your school can make the English assessment for you. So your school just has to put a note on the CAS letter stating that they have assessed your English language capabilities and they have found you to be at the appropriate level for your course, and UKVI will accept that as proof. Finally, if you're under 18, we would expect you to submit a consent letter from your parent or legal guardian specifically stating that they are allowing you to travel and study it in the UK under the current arrangements. So when you can apply, under normal circumstances, student visa applicants can only apply as far as 3 months before their course start date. However, because of the current delays that UKVI is experiencing, we have extended this as far as 6 months before your course start date. So again, for the full details, it's all on gov.uk/student visa. So for a little bit more details on the things that you can do under the student visa, you are allowed obviously to study in the UK under this visa category. You might be able to work. It depends on the course you're studying and also the school that you're going to be studying with. Generally, students will be allowed either 10 hours per week or 20 hours per week to work. You may be also able to bring dependents with you under the student visa. However, you must be your dependents has to be strictly limited to partners, wives, husbands, or children under 18. What you cannot do under the student visa, you cannot claim any kind of public funds while you're in the UK. You cannot also work certain jobs. So if, for example, you're going to be a professional sports person or a coach, you have to apply for a different visa category. You cannot also be self-employed under the student visa. So if you're going to be starting a business, you have to go on a different visa category. You cannot also study at an academy or at a locally funded state school, because the school that you have to study with must be a licensed student sponsor. So yeah, for the full details, again, as far as the activities that you're allowed to do and you're not allowed to do, it's all on gov.uk. Another question that I'm usually asked about the student visa is when they can travel to the UK with this visa category. It also depends on your course length. If your course lasts 6 months or less, less than 6 months, your visa would usually be valid for up to a week before your course start date. But if your course lasts longer than 6 months, then your visa could be valid up to 1 month before your course start date. So as far as fees goes, it costs £363 for people who want to apply for the student visa outside of the UK. So for this part of the presentation, I'm going to be listing down a list of the documentary requirements that UK Visas and Immigration would be expecting you to submit with your visa application. So number 1 would be the Immigration Health Surcharge or IHS reference number. So it's a fee that you have to pay. From what I understand, you have to settle this before you actually even get onto the visa application, online visa application form for the student visa, but I might be wrong. I haven't tested it out lately, but it's a fee that you have to pay for in order for you to gain access to the National Healthcare Service in the UK while you're there as a student. So if you need to go to the hospital or see a doctor for any reason while you're there studying in the UK, you won't have to pay every time you go, because technically you would have prepaid for the service when you applied for your visa. So before you fill up the online application form, you're going to be taken to the IHS portal. They're going to ask you for your CAS reference numbers and your course start date and your course end date, and then it's going to automatically compute how much you pay. And then once you have made the payment, you will get the IHS reference number, which is a requirement for the student visa application. People have been refused because they failed to pay for the IHS fee. Another visa application requirement for the student visa application is the tuberculosis certificate. So if you have been living in Indonesia, which is one of the tuberculosis countries listed on the Home Office website, within the past 6 months before you apply for the student visa, we would expect you to submit a valid TB certificate that tells UKVI that you are free from any kind of pulmonary tuberculosis. So as of this event, there are 4 Home Office approved clinics in Indonesia that can issue this TB certificate, and all of their details can be found on gov.uk/TB test visa. Basically, a TB certificate is valid for 6 months. So as long as you lodge your student visa application within the validity period of the TB certificate, UKVI will accept that as proof. Another documentary requirement is the ATAS certificate. I've listed also the guidance to ATAS, which stands for Academic Technology Approval Scheme. It's not a requirement for all students, but if you're studying a particularly sensitive course or subject that allows you, for example, to have knowledge about how to build weapons of mass destruction, UKVI will expect to see a valid ATA certificate with your visa application. Your school should be able to tell you if this is a course requirement, and also how to obtain this document so that you can show it to UKVI when you apply for your visa. Again, the ATA certificate is valid for 6 months, and as long as you lodge your visa application within the validity period of that document, we will accept that as proof. The next 2 items on the list are specific to people who are under 18. So if you're under 18 years old, you will be considered a minor, and you would have to submit additional documents for your visa application. So one is again, as I mentioned before, the consent letter. It must be signed by your parent or your legal guardian, specifically stating that they're allowing you to study in the UK. And another one would be the proof of your relationship with the parent or legal guardian who signed your consent letter. So UKVI would accept birth certificates or family register certificates as proof of relationships, or any legal adoption papers as proof of relationship to the adult who signed the letter. The next item on the list would be the previous BRP card, if applicable. So BRP stands for Biometric Residence Permit. So it's a card that is issued to, it's like an identification card that's issued to people who have been granted visas to stay in the UK for longer than 6 months. So if you were a holder of a student visa before, a Tier 4 or a Tier 4 general or Tier 4 child student visa before, or if you were a dependent for any kind of Tier 2 visas and you were given a BRP card, UKVI would expect you to submit a copy of your BRP card with this visa application. I'm going to change the picture, but yes. So the guidance to the BRP card is linked on to the is number 2. So that's gov.uk biometric residence permit. The next item on the supporting document checklist for student visas is the English translation. So any document that's not in English or Welsh must be accompanied by an independently verifiable translated English copy. The guidance for that is the gov.uk/certifying documents. There's instruction at the bottom of that gov.uk page of as far as what details must be included in the English translation. It just has to include all of the details of the translator, just so that in case the assessing officer or the home office wants to double check on some details of the document, we can go ahead and call and contact that translator just to confirm. If you notice, I didn't cover the financial documents. It's because if you're an Indonesian passport holder applying in Indonesia for a student visa, you actually qualify for what's called a differentiation agreement. So this means that when you apply, as long as you apply in your home country and you're one of the differentiated nationalities, which is Indonesia is part of that list, you're not actually required to submit financial documents with your student visa application. You also don't have to submit copies of the documents that you submitted to the school when you were applying for a place on one of their courses. So those 2 documentary requirements have been waived as for differentiated individuals. However, I just like to set the disclaimer right now that even though technically you're not required to submit these documents with your visa application, the assessing officer still reserves the right to actually ask you for these documents. So it's always good practice to have those 2 documents, so the financial documents as well as the other documents listed on your CAS letter on hand, just in case the assessing officer asks you for them. If that's the case, the assessing officer will contact you via email, and you will be given 5 working days to submit copies of it. People have been refused before because they didn't submit the supporting documents that were requested from them within the time period. So it's always good practice to have all of the document requirements on hand when you apply. So again, for the full details, as far as the documents goes, it's all on gov.uk/student visa. So after you have lodged your visa application, you have filled up the application form, you've made the necessary payments, you've submitted your biometrics and your passport to VFS, and the processing time has been your application has been concluded. So what happens next? So once a decision has been made on your application, you will be contacted by VFS to claim your passport if that's the delivery method that you chose, or if you chose for VFS to courier your passport back to you, then you will receive an email once the passport has been sent via local courier. So what will you be receiving when a visa decision is positive? So once you've been issued a visa, you will be receiving your passport back, and on your passport there's going to be a vignette of a visa sticker that's going to be stuck on one of the blank pages, and it will be valid for 90 days. You will also be receiving a letter. It's called a BRP letter with instructions on how to collect your BRP card once you get into the UK. So what you have to do next is you have to travel to the UK within the visa validity. So again, it's 90 days, and you have to enter the UK within that time period. If you fail to travel to the UK within the visa validity of your current vignette, what you have to do is to apply for a new visa category. It's called a vignette transfer, and so that a new visa that's valid for 90 days can be issued to you. Once you arrive in the UK, you will be given 10 days upon arrival to collect your BRP card, and they're pretty strict with this. From what I understand, if you don't collect it within 10 days of arrival, they will actually discard your BRP card. So it's always best practice to just collect your BRP card according to the instructions on the letter that was given to you as soon as possible. So for the full details of the BRP card, again, that's on gov.uk biometric residence permits. So I just like to set a couple of examples or a couple of reasons for why people have been refused visa applications before. This is all anecdotal. This is just from experience, but from what I remember, people have been refused because they didn't include the correct or the complete supporting documents. Or sometimes they have been refused because they didn't submit English translated copies of the documents. They have also been refused because they failed to disclose the full or travel immigration history on the application form. There's going to be a section there that's going to ask you to put your, I think it's the past 10 years of your immigration history. So just try to complete it as accurately as you can. People have also been refused, especially minors, because they didn't submit consent letters. Or even if they did submit consent letters, they didn't submit proof of relationships. UKVI is very strict with this. So if you just make sure that if you're under 18, you include those two supporting documents on your visa application. And then finally, people have been refused because they didn't submit TB certificates or ATA certificates when they were required. Or even if they did submit it, then they weren't valid at the time of application. So just please make sure to submit the complete documents to prevent any untoward decisions on your visa application. Before I end this, I just like to give an update on the current travel guidance. So if you're traveling to the UK, or at least to England, as of March 18th this year, they have dropped all restrictions. So you don't have to do any kind of PCR testing pre-departure or post-arrival. You don't have to do any kind of quarantines, and you also don't have to complete any kind of passenger locator forms when you arrive in the UK. But as you might understand, things are still ever changing. So I've also linked the travel guidance onto the that's currently the travel guidance on gov.uk on the screen. So the link is quite long, but everything that you have to know as far as travel guidance and entry requirements to the UK will be posted there. As far as before I end this presentation, I just like to give a couple of top tips. One is to always please check gov.uk for the latest guidance. All immigration and travel guidance and updates regarding the policies will be posted there first. So please check gov.uk first if you have any questions. Another one would be to submit your visa applications early. Again, we have extended the requirement to the ability for student visa applicants to submit their visa applications up to 6 months ahead of their course start date. So please take advantage of this just to make sure that you leave enough time for your visa application to be processed before your school course starts. If you have any questions regarding your visa application or any questions about policies, kindly, the only way for external stakeholders to reach UKVI is via the contact center. So I've posted that link on the page that's being flashed on screen right now. So that's gov.uk contact UKVI outside UK. That's the only way that you can reach UKVI for any questions. It's a paid service, so there's going to be a fee, but that's the only way that we can actually address questions from customers. VFS is only able to answer status checks as far as if the passport has been released from their care. They do not have access to to the UKVI internal system, so they don't know they won't be able to tell you any details on the progress of visa applications. So if I've also listed there the complaints procedure for UKVI, if you want to raise anything, it's also linked there. So thank you. I think I'm going to be choosing a couple of questions from the comments section now. So one just flashed. If my course starts at 8, if my course starts September 8, can I arrive earlier in the UK? So again, this would entirely depend on how long your course is in the UK. So if your course lasts less than 6 months, your visa will be valid for up to 7 days before your course start date. But if your course lasts longer than 6 months, you will be usually given up to 1 month before your course start date. So that's going to be the start date of your 90-day visa that you're going to be getting. Another one, I'm going to be picking financial proof in the form of bank reference is enough, or do we need last 3 months bank statement? There's going to be a specific computation for the financial requirement. It's quite complicated, but it's going to be explained in a fairly straightforward manner on the gov.uk/student visa guidance. There's going to be a page there dedicated to the financial requirements. You have to show that you have enough money to cover both your course fees and your accommodation fees, and it has to be in your bank for the past 28 days of your bank statement. I think I still have time for one more, so let me just check. So, is the application fee refundable if one's visa application is declined? The visa application fee is non-refundable if you decide to either withdraw or cancel your application after you have submitted your biometrics with BFS, or if you have been refused a visa. So the visa application fee will not be refunded. However, the IHS reference number or the IHS fee will be refunded to you. UKVI will usually process the refund within 2 to 4 weeks, and then it will entirely depend on the bank that was used of the card that was used to make the payment. So I would just like to cover one more. I think I have a couple more minutes. Hi, is there any update on when the priority visa will be available? Unfortunately, I don't have any information as to when that will be reinstated. Hopefully soon, but if you're interested, I've posted the link. We will be posting the link on one of the stories of this page, so that you can click the appropriate guidance on gov.uk. We will be posting it there first if there are any news about PV services being resumed. For student visa application, for student visa applications for students with scholarships, do I need a letter of sponsorship, letter of guarantee, or would the letter of LOS would be enough? So if you're going to be sponsored by a third-party entity, so like a company or maybe even the government, we would expect you to submit a letter of sponsorship from the entity that's going to be sponsoring you, and we would expect to see the details of the sponsorship. So we would like to get the details of what they're going to be covering financially. Would it be just the course fees? Would it be the accommodation fees? Or would it be everything for your entire stay in the UK? So I'll just like to get one more out there before I close this session. So for the dependent visa, does it spend time to finish as a student visa if both them applied together? So for the dependent visa, if your dependents applied at the same time as the student, they would number one, they would have the same end date and same visa start date as that of the main applicant or the student. And if you applied at the same time, you can expect to receive a decision on the application at around the same time. So I think I've run out of time. I think I've already even extended this session. So thank you so much again for attending or spending this time with me. We will be collating the questions that's posted on the comments of this event, and they will be forwarded to me so I can address them, and the answers will be sent to the relevant social media accounts. So please don't worry. The questions that I haven't had the chance to address during this event will be answered. Thank you so much again for taking the time. Again, if you need to contact UKVI for any kind of information about your visa application or any questions that you have outside of this event, feel free to contact the contact center. Thank you, everybody.